time, but good to have you back. And we are switching the order of things today because our speaker can't get here until 8. So we're gonna get everything else done, including times before 8. It's gonna be a lot. So work with me. All right. Erin, would you like to come do the Rotary Minute?
You.
So I did a Google search that said obscure facts about Rotary International. And I came across a page, hopefully it's legitimate, and it's rotaryeclub1.org. And these are the top 19 facts every Rotarian should know about Rotary, according to Steve Garrett, Rotary Governor 94 to 95.
18 to 19.
How do you describe the organization called Rotary? There are so many characteristics of a Rotary club, as well as the activities of 1 million Rotarians. There are the features of service, internationality, fellowship, classifications of each vocation, development of goodwill and world understanding, the emphasis of high ethical standards, concern for other people, and many more descriptive qualities. Number 2, the official Rotary flag. An official flag was formally adopted by Rotary International at the 1929 convention in Dallas, Texas. Number 3, Rotary's wheel emblem. Wheel has been the symbol of Rotary since our earliest days. First design was made by Chicago Rotarian Montague Bear, an engraver who drew a simple wagon wheel with a few lines to show dust and motion. The wheel was said to illustrate civilization and movement. Number 4, object of Rotary. In some areas of the world, weekly Rotary Club meetings begin with all members standing and reciting the object of Rotary. This statement, which comes from the Constitution of Rotary, is frequently seen on a wall plaque in Rotarian offices or place of business. The object of Rotary is to encourage and foster the ideal of service as a basis of worthy enterprise. Number 5, Rotary mottos. The first motto of Rotary International, "He profits most who serves best," was approved at the second Rotary Convention held in Portland, Oregon in August 1911. Number 6, the 4-way test. Is it truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Number 7, first names or nicknames. In the early days of Rotary, members have referred to each other on a first name basis. Since personal acquaintanceship and friendship are cornerstones of Rotary, it was natural that many clubs adopted the practice of setting aside formal titles in conversations among members. Number 8, 4 avenues of service. The term 4 avenues of service is frequently used in Rotary literature and information. The avenues refer to the 4 elements of the object of Rotary: club service, vocational service, community service, and international service. Number 9, international responsibilities of a Rotarian. As an international organization, Rotary offers each member unique opportunities and responsibilities. Although each Rotarian has first responsibility to uphold the obligations of citizenship of his or her own country, membership in Rotary enables Rotarians to take a somewhat different view of international affairs. In the early 1950s, a Rotary philosophy was adopted to describe how a Rotarian may think on a global basis. Here's what it said. A world-minded Rotarian looks beyond national patriotism and considers himself as sharing responsibility for the advancement of international understanding, goodwill, and peace. Now, this goes on and on from there. I'm going to cut it short because this is only supposed to be a minute.
Okay.
Number 10, the sponsor of a new member. The bylaws of Rotary clearly outline the procedure for a prospective member to be proposed for Rotary Club membership. The proposer is the key person in the growth and advancement of Rotary. Without a sponsor, an individual will never have the opportunity to become a Rotarian. Number 11, women in Rotary. Until 1989, the Constitution and bylaws of Rotary International stated that Rotary Club membership was for males only. In 1978, the Rotary Club of Duarte, California, invited 3 women to become members. The Rotary International Board withdrew the charter of that club for violation of the Rotary International Constitution, and the club brought suit against Rotary International, claiming a violation of a state civil rights law, which prevents discrimination in any form in business establishments or public accommodations. 12, World Understanding Month. The month of February, I definitely didn't know about this. The month of February is very special in the Rotary calendar since it is designated World Understanding Month. The month also includes the anniversary of the first meeting of Rotary held on February 23rd, 1905, now designated World Understanding and Peace Day. 13, the classification principle. Virtually all membership in Rotary was based upon a classification. Basically, a classification describes the distinct and recognized business or professional service which the Rotarian renders to society. 14, exchange of club banners. One of the colorful traditions of many Rotary clubs is the exchange of small banners, flags, or pennants. Rotarians traveling to distant locations often take banners to exchange at makeup meetings as a token of friendship. 15, sharing Rotary with new members. Are you aware of the responsibility or obligation most Rotarians fail to perform? Paying their dues, attending meetings, contributing to the club service fund, participating in club's events and projects? No, none of these. Of all the obligation a person accepts when joining a Rotary club, the one which most Rotarians fail is sharing Rotary. 16, tolerance of differences. Occasionally, there is a temptation to criticize the laws, customs, and traditions of another country, which may seem strange or contrary to our own. In some instances, illegal practices or customs of one nation are completely lawful and impermissible in another. As members of an international organization dedicated to world understanding and peace, it behooves Rotarians to exercise restraint in judging our Rotary friends and citizens from other countries when their behavior seems unusual to us. 17, vocational service. Vocational service is the second avenue of service. No aspect is more closely related to each member than a personal commitment to represent one's vocation or occupation to fellow Rotarians and to exemplify the characteristics of high ethical standards and the dignity of work. 18, Rotary Anns, Rotary partners. In many clubs throughout the world, wives of male members are affectionately called Rotary Anns. Have any of you heard of that?
Oh my God. What's this written again?
This designation was never one of disparagement.
Yeah, right.
Let me just get one more line.
You guys just need.
This designation was never one of disparagement, but rather grew out of an interesting historical occasion. Year was 1914 when San Francisco Rotarians boarded a special train to attend the Rotary Convention being held in Houston. In those days, few wives attended Rotary events, and until the train stopped in Los Angeles, the only woman aboard was the wife of Rotarian Rue Brunier. As the train picked up additional convention-bound delegates, Mrs. Anne Brunier was introduced as the Rotarians Anne. This title soon became Rotary Anne. It goes on from there.
Yeah. Hey, we need to wrap it up.
Rotary history. The world's first service club, the Rotary Club of Chicago, Illinois, USA, was formed on 23rd of February, 1905 by Paul Harris, an attorney who wished to recapture in a professional club the same friendly spirit he had felt in the small town of his youth. Thank you.
Yeah.
Rotary Elizabeth.
Can I have Debbie and Nick come up? Hey. So today we welcome to our membership, Nick Carden. Select membership in this club because your fellow members believe you are worthy representatives of your calling and because you possess qualities that will permit you to exemplify the true spirit of Rotary in your public, business, social, and private life. We wish to impress upon you that you've been admitted not only to the Rotary Club of Williston-Richmond, but to a worldwide association, and by virtue of your membership in this club, you'll be welcomed into the fellowship of any Rotary Club in the world. The honor and privilege of Rotary membership carries with it certain duties and obligations. You are required to attend the club's meetings regularly, to perform your share of club service, and to place your knowledge and talents at the disposal of the club and its past, carrying the principles of Rotary into the daily life of the community. So welcome, Nick, to Williston-Richmond Rotary Club. Thank you, Debbie. Get rid of that silly paper name.
Can I get a photo with you on each, three on either side of the rotary banner? Or one side? Excellent, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, welcome, excited to have you. And Sherry, I need you to come up too.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
No, no.
Oh, a prize?
Oh, I won my thing today.
Okay,
I want a prize.
today is not wearing a pin. Who does not have a pin on? Who does not have a pin on because they lost their pin? Come on, be honest here.
Elizabeth needs one.
I know I have it.
Like 6 of them on my dresser.
So that if have a pin, it's tiny, so-
Okay. Speaking of pins, we have a very special pin for Sherry. This is a double sapphire Paul Harris pin.
Woo!
Paul Harris. Amazing.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Sherry. Good work,
Right.
Sherry.
If you all remember, 3 weeks ago, we presented the bylaws for the Constitution.
Mm-hmm.
Today's the day we get to vote on them. Has everyone had a chance to review them?
Did. I had a chance.
Took a look at every, yes,
Five.
yes, I had a chance.
Written,
Statement is true.
Someone, second.
thank you. Everyone in favor?
Sure.
Anyone not in favor?
Some-
All right.
Someone should.
We've
have
approved. Where'd you be quiet? The riffraff. Yeah, thank you, Vince and Phil and Andy for getting all that together. Certainly not my wheelhouse, but as John says, delegate.
Good job,
All
you
right,
guys.
next announcement I have, I'm gonna pass around a very important sheet. All you have to do is check some boxes though. Your name's already on here. So this is a few things. We have our club visioning coming up on June 14th, and then our changeover annual meeting dinner on June 19th. And the other boxes on here, if you're vegetarian or gluten-free, and if you're bringing a guest to the changeover dinner. So if you're coming, put a check in the box. And read the rest of the stuff. There's 5 boxes for you to check or not check, but please all check at least the
June
first
19th.
2, where you're gonna come to the visioning and to the changeover dinner. In alphabetical order by last name. Yeah,
And, the cost of the changeover dinner,
20, I believe.
$20.
Yeah,
Okay, per person.
yes. Okay, so I'm gonna pass this around. There's a pen attached.
She knows we're away on the 14th, but on the 19th.
Where are we? Leslie had an announcement. Okay. And I believe Armand is passing around again, a sheet for,
Yeah.
for doing the canoe access, for cleaning up the canoe access and stuff.
Yeah,
so-
because I misplaced the original one, so.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Okay, so it's not very sunny out, so hence I know, kind of an odd outfit, but I was hoping it would inspire some sunshine. So we have our Memorial Day observance coming up on Monday at 9 o'clock at the War Memorial Park, which is between the police station and the town offices. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Between the annex and the.
The town hall and the annex. Annex.
Oh, okay, it's between the town hall and the annex. I always think of the police station and town hall. So you can't. miss
That's a parking lot. You'll
Yeah.
get run over if you.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Right by the parking lot.
Right.
For those of you who have not been to one of these before, it's relatively brief. We will have a few remarks from Rotary members. We have remarks from Eric Wells, our town manager. There will be an invocation, and then we will read the names of deceased veterans. There are a lot. So I need some people who will be willing to read some names, and I will get those names to you ahead of time. So, Chris, I think I don't have you. Okay, Chris. Debbie. Oh, John, you got a big day, John. Okay, who else? Andrew. Jude, I have you. Dan and Charlie. I have Dan. Okay. So I have Dan, Jude, Bill, Sonia, Terry, Walter, Armand, myself, Chris, Debbie, John Jacob, Andrew, Sally, and Charlie. Did I miss anyone? Okay. Then we have on May 31st, Dragon Days in St. George. Basically, it's a tent will be set up with a table and 2 chairs for us if we want. Basically being at the table to get names of people who are interested in more Rotary information. So is there anyone who would like to hang out there for a bit?
Go?
About an hour and a half, and then there's a parade and a world-class circus.
We'll go.
May
What
31st
time?
is also the district annual meeting in North Conway, so.
Okay, Susan, Lisa. I have Susan, Lisa, Marty, Barb. Did I miss anyone? Okay,
What
So-
time?
it's at 11. We'll be at our table from set up like 11:30
What
to
day
1.
of the week is that again?
Saturday.
It's Saturday.
Saturday.
So Saturday, May 31st,
Okay.
June 1st, Sunday is the rain date.
Mhm.
So I will send out information to each of you. Thank you.
I guess I have to use this. I'm not sure I need to, but. Inspiration. I believe inspiration is different for different people. What inspires you may not inspire me and vice versa. One source of inspiration for me is a book I was given in my early teen years. Our Friend the Atom was directed by Walt Disney and authored by Dr. Heinz Haber. The book was published in 1956 and includes a foreword by Walt Disney himself. In that foreword, he notes, in the scientific fiction tale, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, a submarine called the Nautilus was powered by a magic force. Today, Disney writes, the tale has come true. The submarine USS Nautilus, powered by an atomic reactor, was launched just 2 years earlier. Dr. Haber, in his prologue, points out that everyone knows of the military atom and the horror surrounding its use for military purpose. It is a superb villain. But fortunately, he writes, the story is not finished. He continues, what we eventually will do with the atom remains to be decided. It is up to us to give the story a happy ending. If we use atomic energy wisely, we can make a hero out of that villain. I was inspired. I felt sure that we could do other great things, like provide power for millions of people. What has happened to that hero? Unfortunately, misinformation spread by those, for whatever reason, refuse to seek the truth, and this has caused the problem. Nuclear reactors are dangerous. The waste they produce will never be safe. Could this be true? I wanted to know. What is the truth in this case? The horrors of Chernobyl and 3 Mile Island were the result of human errors. People caused this problem, not the atomic energy. Those nuclear reactors were not unsafe if they were handled correctly, and those who were at the control, yes, design changes were needed. What about the nuclear waste that they create? Those reactors were like Model T Fords to the car industry. They were very early. They were limited in their ability, and they had serious design needs. Those nuclear reactors would not be unsafe if handled correctly. So what about the waste? Newer reactor designs currently in use, for example, in France and other countries, can make use of this so-called waste, extracting 60 to 70 times as much energy as the original reactors, and leaving no more than 3% of the fuel left that is radioactive and with a much shorter lifetime. There are answers to these problems. Science can solve those problems. So the dream of energy generated by nuclear energy without harming the industry, without harming the atmosphere, is still possible. I think science holds the key to solving this and many other problems, such as vaccination, DNA editing for disease and viruses. I continue to be inspired by science. But we must always seek the truth and not allow misinformation to cloud our judgment.
Thank you, Phil. All right, and our speaker is here. I'm gonna have, we'll do the speaker first, and then we'll save a little time at the end for fines. We're getting a little short on time, though. That was a lot of talking. All right, so I'm gonna have Armin introduce our speaker, and here, you can take it away.
Thank you, Elizabeth. This morning, we're very fortunate to have with us Lieutenant Tony Simanskas.
Yep, close.
As a speaker, some of us know him. He's been here before. A lieutenant, first responder from the Williston Fire Department. May is Stroke Awareness Month. And how many people know the signs of someone having a stroke? There's
I forgot.
4 or 5 different signs to watch for. So it's very appropriate to have Tony here this morning. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us.
All right, much like Phil, I'll use the microphone here just in case, but thank you again for having me. We'll have a presentation up here, just a visual aid, but I'll speak to it, and feel free to interrupt me with any questions or anything that you like, okay? Can everyone hear me okay?
We can hear you.
Alrighty,
Give it to the what?
Okay.
there we go, it worked. All right, so, like Armin said, my name is Tony. I'm a Lieutenant Paramedic with the Williston Fire Department. I've been with the organization since 2008, so, during its small infancy as a full-time department. Many of you I've seen in passing or have, been in contact with before, and thank you again for having me back today. Last time I was here, I was with, now Chief Prescott Panu. He's doing really well up in Heinsberg, but we were here a couple years ago doing a presentation on that Sano kit. And actually, I have a little bit of information on that after this presentation. So the main purpose that I'm here today is because I was asked to come do a stroke awareness presentation for you, which is excellent. Next slide. So funny that this month is also stroke awareness, but this week is also EMS week 2025. So what we do as our organization is we go and do community outreach events throughout the public. Tuesday, we did a blood drive at the Williston Fire Department where we are able to collect 25 units of whole blood and 4 units of red blood cells, which goes to the American Red Cross, and they distribute that as needed, which is really neat. And there's also a underlying project there that I'm working on. So, but today I get to come present to you, and tomorrow I'll be on shift and we get to go to Home Depot and do a hands-only CPR demonstration for a couple hours for community members, which is great. But we'll talk about strokes today, which is a really popular discussion and is getting more popularity for recognition. So next slide. So I pulled some statistics for Williston, and for the past 4 years, including 2025 year to date, you can see a decent amount of stroke patients out. Now, this encompasses hemorrhagic strokes, ischemic strokes, and TIAs, and I'll go over that further on in the presentation. But we see a fair number of these, and it's very important that we are well trained and we give our community the best treatments possible. Next. So it's important for you all to know how to react when a stroke does happen, either to yourself or to a family member, a friend, or what have you. Now, there are other medical emergencies out there that simulate a stroke, that have a very similar signs and symptoms. Any of you happen to know one popular one that happens? That, yes.
Your left arm goes numb, or?
Exactly right. So that is a sign and symptom, but there's actually another medical emergency that mimics a stroke-like symptoms.
Slurring speech.
Yep, exactly. That's another very popular symptom. Now, one I'm thinking of is not a stroke at all. It's called Bell's palsy. All right. Have you heard of that term? Yeah. So it's a medical event which exhibits almost exactly the very similar signs and symptoms, except for usually it's just drooping on the face. Now, I've had a close friend of mine who had Bell's palsy when he was quite young, and it was like, oh my goodness, are you having a stroke right now in your 30s? What's going on? But it's not actually uncommon for people to have strokes in their 30s or when they're really, really young. So it's not just older individuals. But it is important to understand that it is a very serious condition. A stroke is. It can happen rapidly, and rapid treatment and transport is needed to hopefully fix the problem. Now, if you think, well, like any good old Vermonter, that rub a little dirt on it can fix it, no, that's not the case. All right, so it won't go away on its own. We need some interventions at the hospital to help fix this problem. Have you all heard the phrase time is tissue? Maybe not, maybe so. Well, it is important. Like I said, the common theme to stroke is definitive care, getting you up to the hospital as soon as possible. And immediate, it's hard to see, and I apologize, but immediate intervention or recognition from you all recognizing signs and symptoms of stroke is going to really help determine the ultimate end goal, if you will, of the patient and how the doctors of the hospital are going to intervene. Go ahead. So who's most at risk? Well, it can be anybody. Like I said, it doesn't have to be older individuals. Younger individuals can have strokes. We ran an individual, I think it was either beginning of this year or last year, very, very young individual, clean bill of health, and so it can happen to anybody. But there are some predispositions that set you up for a higher risk of having a stroke. Now, there's a lot of comorbidities that can help potentiate this, but age, race, sex, and family medical history can really increase your risk of a stroke and other past medical history. Now, if you have high blood pressure, AFib, people know what AFib is? Okay, good. Smoking, high cholesterol, diabetes, poor circulation, all these can be contributing factors of having a stroke. And if you have AFib or high blood pressure, your primary care physician probably has informed you that you are at a higher risk of having stroke, especially if you don't treat your medical symptoms, all right, or your medical condition, AFib, high blood pressure. AFib is one that we actually see really often for people having a stroke. AFib is a portion of you have 4 chambers of the heart. The 2 top chambers how I describe it is they freak out, and the bottom chambers do not, and it can potentially throw a clot up to your brain, causing a stroke. So AFib patients, we see that a lot with stroke patients, that they have history of having AFib. Go ahead next. So what is a stroke? Well, like I said, there's really 3 stroke symptoms or stroke types. One is hemorrhagic, which is where you have a burst of vessel or artery. We'll touch on that a little bit more. The other one is ischemic, which is a blockage, and then thirdly is kind of a stroke, but self-resolves as a TIA or transient ischemic attack. So ischemic stroke. So this is the most popular one. It happens when a clot forms and it ventures up into the brain and it blocks an artery. And what happens is it has a backup of blood behind it, and it doesn't allow blood to continue through the body, which is the factor as to why you have the drooped face, you have slurred speech, weakness on one side of the body or the other, depending on where this blockage happens. Now, at the hospital, they can do thrombolytics. They can go in there with a special mechanism to remove the clot if they need to. It really depends on how long the symptoms have been happening for before they can remove this blockage. So, and that's where we see the AFib, the high blood pressure, causing these type of ischemic strokes. Hemorrhagic strokes are not as popular, not as common, but they do happen. And this is the kind of stroke where we see the younger individuals having stroke symptoms. So it's like a burst pipe. So your blood vessel, because of the high blood pressure, let's say that's a common one, you have such high blood pressure, there's so much pressure on those vessels, it wears them down, it makes them thin, depending on where it is in the brain, and it can cause a vessel to burst, and blood flows out of that vessel, and you bleed out into your brain, essentially, into your cranial space, which causes a whole lot of pressure and causes that stroke. Go ahead next. Then there's the TIA. So I like to reference this as a traffic jam. So kind of like the picture shows, a TIA is where a clot forms, travels up into the brain, and it gets stuck, or it gets hung up in the vessel. And then for whatever reason, that clot then becomes free and blood flow continues. So the symptoms that you have during a TIA are exactly the same as a stroke, but they self-resolve within minutes, or I haven't seen hours, but usually minutes. So we have seen, or I have been a part of many TIAs over my time, where I'll come to a patient who has stroke-like symptoms, slurred speech, drooping face, weakness on extremities on one side or the other. And then while I'm there, they go back to their normal self. And it's like, whoa, what just happened? And then sometimes actually another clot follows it and they have those signs and symptoms again. But so if you notice this though, they have those stroke-like symptoms, the drooping face, the slurred speech, the weakness. Definitely call 911, even if the symptoms resolve, because that is still a very important medical emergency. Okay. Wait. So for you all, we touched base on some of these already, but the acronym is BFAST that you guys can remember, which help identify stroke-like symptoms. All right. So balance. If you have someone that is off kilter, their gait is not appropriate. Now, some of that might be baseline. Don't call 911 just off their balance and gait issues. But if it is a new symptom that they're exhibiting out of the blue that is acute, that might be an issue and you should call 911. Their eyes, sometimes we'll see deviation of the eyes. So if they're drifting, looking at one side or the other, that means there's a lot of pressure in the brain and causing that fixation of the eyes to go to one side or the other. Their face, we talked about drooping face, and you guys mentioned that that is a common sign and symptom of a stroke. That is absolutely right. If one side of their face looks like it is melting down, that is a sign of a stroke. Arms, we do what's called an arm drift test, where we'll hold their arm like a zombie, and if one of them just starts to drop, know that they have some weakness on their arm. Their speech, I heard someone say that their speech is impaired, kind of sounds like they might be inebriated, or they have just verbal salad, garbage salad, where they can't produce a full sentence, they have a hard time talking, it just sounds very slurred. That's a good indication of a stroke. And then time, the time is the big important thing. So know what time you start noticing these signs and symptoms. And that is great information to give to EMS. That really paves the road for us for treatment, but more importantly, treatment at the hospital, because the physicians at the hospital are going to be able to determine, are they going to be able to treat with medications first, or do they have to go do more intense interventions in the OR? Yep. So what do I do? Next. That's what some people look like. Don't get me wrong. Big bug eyes, like, oh my goodness, what's happening here? Call 911. Okay. If you have any concern that a family member, yourself, a loved one might be having a stroke based upon that BFAST acronym, call us. It's okay if you're not 100% sure, you're like on the fence, just call us. We'll do a full evaluation on the individual or you, and really come up with a definitive conclusion of, do we think you're having a stroke or not? All right, next. And like I said, knowing what time these symptoms is the most important thing for you all to do, okay? You don't have to give them an ice pack or a Band-Aid or anything like that. That's not going to fix the stroke, though it's a very nice gesture. The transport up to the hospital is the ultimate remedy for this. All right. So, like I said, strokes, they can happen to anybody. If you have high blood pressure, if you have a history of atrial fibrillation, that really increases your risk of stroke. Now, you can be treated with blood thinners and stuff like that. And that's actually another really important piece of information to give us. If someone is having a stroke, we need to know if they are on a blood thinner. Examples of blood thinners are Eliquis, warfarin, so on and so forth, because that can increase their risk of bleeding, also, especially with hemorrhagic strokes. So they can bleed a whole lot faster because that blood thinner makes their blood like Kool-Aid. So blood thinners and the time that you notice the symptoms are the very key important things. If I can give you anything today, is that, okay? Hey, Tony, great, good to see you. Thanks for coming. I noticed these symptoms started around 4 a.m., okay? Or last time known well. Really great for us, okay? So I know you guys were short on time and that was a lot of information, but I want to use this time to answer questions about strokes, if you have it. Yeah.
Is the severity of the stroke like equal to the severity of the symptoms? Does that make sense?
Yeah, so, yes and no. People can have moderate symptoms and still be having a massive stroke.
Okay.
Now, as the time goes on, you will start to see increased symptoms, for sure. One where is, I would say, more deadly is the hemorrhagic one where they bleed out, because what can happen is, depending on where they're bleeding, it can really push on their brain and cause a cranial a shift in their brain, and that can cause a lot of damage, a lot of ischemia. Really fix easily, or not me, a doctor who's paid a lot more money than I do, get paid, they can fix that a lot easier than a hemorrhagic stroke. If you have a hemorrhagic stroke, and if it's left untreated and unrecognized, your risk of death increases immensely.
I also just had a comment, because I'm going through this with my mom on Eliquis.
Oh, yeah.
Just to update your medical ID on your phone.
Yep.
That's pretty helpful for you guys.
Very helpful. And also, the Williston Fire Department has what's called the Vial of Life program, and some of you may know what that is. It's a vial that we hand out to individuals. Comes with a magnet. You put the magnet on your refrigerator, and inside that vial is a blank piece of paper that has all your demographics that you can enter in, your past medical history, your allergies, and medications taken. Now, if we come to you and we see that magnet on the fridge, we'll go right to the fridge and look for that vial, which has all your information. So that way, if you're incapacitated for whatever reason, you have something to go off of. To your point, oh, great, John Doe is on Eliquis. Well, they're having a stroke right now, or they have fallen, which can increase their risk of a head bleed if it's not treated and evaluated.
One of the things that I heard at a talk that was given at the hospital was that this hospital has a unique approach to strokes. And the real important thing is the amount of time, the quicker you can get there. So they said that they actually have someone 24/7 who is really experienced in that. And they were really advanced in it because I guess we've been working with other hospitals now to try and tell them that. And one of my friends did have a stroke recently and got there quickly and it's fine.
Yeah, that's a great point. And UVM Medical Center definitely has an amazing neurology department. They do have a physician on, or a fellow, or a resident on all the time. And when we go to the hospital, we bring in a stroke or what we think is a stroke. We go right to the CT scanner, which is the most important part of it, of identifying the stroke. They take the picture of the head, and then they can determine what level of treatment that they need. Now, our protocols change, and our duration of time changes as well as improvements happen. But yeah, UVM has a tremendous neurology department. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so, boyfriend, sorry, that's what I call my husband. I wouldn't know. But he had a stroke 10 years ago. And he doesn't drink, doesn't smoke. He cycles 3,500 miles a year. He's super healthy, eats good, all that. Goes to show it can happen to anyone, made everyone that knows him feel super vulnerable because we all have one of those other bad habits. But anyway, we got to the hospital right away, and yes, is it the TPA?
Yep.
Yeah, so if they know, like, if you can get there fast, then they can do the protocols, and they have a team that just swarms in, and it's impressive.
Yeah.
And it makes a world of difference, right? To get that prompt, service.
Exactly, and that's why I harp on this. Well, this is still on. I guess so. Can you still hear me? All right. No? Okay.
That's all right.
So, TPA, yes, Sherry, you're absolutely right. That's the medication that neurologists will give. Essentially a clot buster. All right, it goes in there, breaks up that clot, and restores blood flow to the brain. And the sooner that we can get people up there, the sooner they can get that medication, and they don't have to, if they don't have to go in invasively and remove the clot.
That leads just to another question. Is there ever a chance that TPA would be, is it dangerous, like, for you guys to have on your truck, like for paramedics to use, to be able to treat people faster? versus getting to the hospital?
Yes, it is a very, I would say, it's a medication which I don't think you'll ever see pretty possibly, at least in my time frame. Maybe after I retire, we'll see it, but they really need that imaging with the CT scan to get a good idea of what clot.
There's a question online too.
Oh, all right, we'll go with your question, Martin, and then we'll do the online.
Just an observation, this is really the same principle as treating heart attacks, exactly the same.
Yep.
Idea, so.
Yeah, early recognition and early intervention with calling 911, getting us there will really improve the outcomes. All right, what online question do we have?
Yeah, Dave, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I guess my question is, what's the critical period of time? I live way up in Isle of Lamont. Should I go to St. Albans or Burlington if it should arise?
Yeah, so regardless of where you live, calling 911, they will be able to determine which facility is best for you. For Isle of Lamont, is it St. Albans Hospital that's the closest one?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So whomever the ambulance agency is will contact the facility, and they might just say, go right to UVM, or hey, stop here first. We can intervene. We can give TPA potentially, and then ship you down to UVM. But they're going to really facilitate that determination. And please, if you think you are having a stroke or your family member is having a stroke, do not drive them, okay? Call the ambulance, because we can assess them a whole lot more. We do a ton of things for stroke patients. We do a full neurological exam. We'll do an EKG. We'll start an IV. We'll check their blood sugar. We'll do a whole bunch of things that will help us rule out and determine a level of stroke and how bad of a stroke we think it actually is.
Just one other point, with stroke, it's extremely important to understand whether it's ischemic or hemorrhagic. Because if you give something like TBA to someone who's got a hemorrhagic stroke, you can create a lot of harm. So that's one of the reasons that you can't just sort of give it in the field.
Yep, absolutely. Yes.
I was just gonna say, can you repeat what Marty said, because he's so soft
Sure.
spoken?
So he mentioned that it's important to, especially at the hospital, to recognize ischemic strokes versus hemorrhagic strokes. And that will, if you give TPA for hemorrhagic stroke, that can really be a deterrent of treatment and outcome for that patient. A couple more slides, sorry. I just wanted to touch base. Innovation, so Williston Fire continues to be a leader in EMS for the state of Vermont. So we were the first department in the state to adopt a pediatric level of program called Hand Heavy, which has taken off in the state. Probably 25 to 30 other agencies in the state are now using it. And then the Cyano Kit, which we talked about a couple of years ago, Prescott and I, Williston Fire was the only agency in the state to carry this life-saving medication. And I had the privilege to administer this medication on Easter weekend at a house fire in Heinsberg for a burn patient. And since then, 3 departments in Washington County have adopted this medication and are carrying it. And I also sit as an executive board member for the Vermont Emergency Healthcare Preparedness Coalition. And I'm working to get a kit in each EMS district in the state of Vermont to help broaden the scope of practice for our practitioners. So, and one more slide. A couple accolades that we've received over the years. In 2018, we were the ambulance service of the state of Vermont. We are a heart safe community, which means we have a ton of AEDs throughout our public and for community access. Mission Lifeline Award, which is this award right here, is a yearly award that we qualify for through the American Heart Association for STEMI recognition and treatment for heart attacks. And then, as you see on the bottom right, we are a pediatric safe organization, and we received an award, one of the first awards for this pediatric award, recognition in the state. So we have amazing providers, some really outstanding providers, and I'm very proud to work with people at the Williston Fire Department.
You follow up on the AEDs throughout the community, you monitor and see if they're up to date with their pads and batteries?
Yeah, so the ones that we maintain, the ones in the town for, town office, the library, Old Brick Church, DPW, we do all the maintenance on those. But we put the onus on the community members who own their AEDs to do their maintenance on theirs.
Do the AEDs themselves have a life limiting factor?
Most manufacturers do not have a shelf life on them. It's just until they run out of parts or stop making parts and software updates, they will stay in service.
They just need new batteries and pads.
New batteries and pads, exactly right. And then one last project that we're working on, and it leads me back to the blood drive that we hosted, is I'm really trying to push whole blood administration for the state of Vermont. So in trauma patients, getting blood product into their bodies or back into their bodies, super important. And it is not done pre-hospitally in the state of Vermont other than hospital base or UVM. And there's only, I think, 3 other agencies in New England that are doing it right now. So that's a big project that I'm pushing. So, yes.
Thank you, Tony, for being here. It's great to see you here. I hope I don't have to see you because of a fire. But thank you for being here, and I really appreciate the opportunity for our club to work with you, because we actually purchased that first cyano kit for you. And we also have been instrumental in purchasing AEDs as well. So kudos to the club.
Yes, thank you. With all, especially the purchase of that first kit was huge. And like I said, we were able to administer this kit to a patient who was in a house fire in Heinsberg. So got to treat him with it. So huge instrumental with you guys.
Thank you very much, Tony, for being here. Many of us in this room will save a life by remembering this information. Thank you very much for telling. A lot of us have AFib, which is very, very common these days. In recognition of you being here, we're going to be making a contribution to the Williston mentoring program in your name.
Wow.
So thank you very much.
That's excellent.
And last thing, could I get you to draw a ticket?
Oh,
all right.
I would be delighted to. What are we wrapping up today?
It's just a cash.
All right.
$10.
It's a new car.
It's an AED. An AED, yes.
The last
And some
three
candy.
numbers, 816.
Oh, just missed it.
816.
No Pinto.
No winners.
Well, wait, don't.
Listen, if I want, I can be, I have.
I do have it.
Oh.
I've already got them ready.
This was not planned. I'm just saying.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, everybody.
And one other thing, don't ever hesitate dialing 911. If nothing else, you'll get a nice comfortable ride.